There we go. Welcome, Sam Christianson. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So much. It's been a bit of a long time coming, but I think we got there in the end.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I mean, it's like, it's life, bro.
Yeah.
And straight off the bat, congratulations on your win at the SA Champs, J-Bay.
Yeah.
Fresh out of that as well.
Thank you. Really stoked. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's 3 in a row now.
Yeah.
Kind of, you're hogging the limelight there, bro.
I'm trying.
You're hogging something.
Yeah, I like it.
That's cool, man. Yeah, so you're from KwaZulu-Natal, Durban boy, inland?
Born in Durban, and then at about a year old, moved to Johannesburg and spent the first 10 years of my life in Johannesburg. Went to school there, was big into skateboarding. And then I think just before my 11th birthday, my parents' work took them back to Durban. So we packed up, moved to Durban, and as soon as I heard the news we were going there, it was kind of the shift from skateboarding went to, I want to get in the ocean and learn to surf. It was a lot harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
But a lot more forgiving than concrete ramps, which is rad.
So, I mean, when you first started surfing, did you do the whole like Addington?
Yeah. Started at Roxy Learn to Surf with my dad.
Okay.
He was 38 years old at the time.
Yeah.
I was 11 and a bit. And Alan Wallace pushed my dad and myself into our first wave ever.
That's cool, man.
So rad.
That's a nice little memory for you, eh?
Yeah.
To have such a legend do that.
All of us running around in our little pink rash vests with my dad. Like all the grounds and pops.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously the shift from Johannesburg, did you like stop skateboarding altogether, or were you still like?
Pretty much. It was like a slow changeover, I would say. I wouldn't stop entirely. I would still skateboard here and there, but it definitely slowed down quite a bit. I really got consumed by the ocean. It grabbed me off the bat.
Shortboarding?
Just surfing.
Okay.
Initially, like everyone, I learned on a longboard, and I surfed a longboard for about a year. And then naturally just wanted to start riding smaller and smaller boards. Did the whole shortboard thing. Thought that I was going to be Geordie Smith one day. That didn't work out.
Well, you say it didn't work out, but I mean, you can ride a shortboard just as well as you do a longboard, I think.
Yeah, I like to mix it up. That's been a cool change in my mind, is from trying to be a high performance shortboard surfer to more like focused on what the waves are doing on the day and then riding what the wave suits. So if it's waist high, I'm not going to be out there on a 5.6 thruster trying to do airs.
Yeah.
I'm going to be walking to the nose. But if it's overhead and barreling, I'm not going to be on my longboard.
No.
So it's like I'm trying to ride what the day suits.
Yeah. Have you always been like that, or have you sort of matured into this sort of like this cool, calm, collected, very sort of grounded persona that I perceive you as? Have you always been like that, or was it like, were you really just this like frothing dude that wanted to compete at one stage?
No, I think it's maybe been a maturity thing. But when I was young, I was completely frothing, just wanted to compete. And my parents actually held me off doing competitions for a couple of years because I played a lot of sports in school, so I was naturally pretty competitive in that. And they wanted me to have something just, as an activity to do, something for fun.
Yeah.
And eventually, being a kid, found the loophole and twisted their arm and let me compete. And that kind of just started it.
Spiraled into kind of getting more. I mean, we say compete, but I mean, were you sponsored at the time as well? Did you get sponsorships?
I did get sponsorships,
Okay.
but it's like these, very grateful for them, but it's, slap a sticker on the nose of your board and you get a couple of t-shirts and board shorts. Maybe a wetsuit or two.
Has that changed much?
Pre-COVID, it did. And then the surf industry in particular took a huge knock with COVID. But yeah, things are looking on the up.
We hope.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah, I think we could talk all day about that sort of thing, and we don't want to be sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Not disrespectful, but not appreciate some of the cool people that are in the industry and that are out there. But at the same time, it is a challenge, especially for South African surfers. I think it's a hot topic, that we've got a wealth of, you know, of good surfers, men and women, but not necessarily the funds that allow them to, you know, travel as much as they'd like to, get to the events. So it's been a challenge. I mean, pre-COVID, it was like the financial crash in 2012 or whatever, and then you saw the likes of, you know, the big names like Billabong and Quicksilver and all of them like tank and off the stock market. And then, as you say, COVID put another spanner in the works. So it's a challenge for an African surfer, say Africa as a whole, to stay in that competitive path, you know.
It's been, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking a little out of turn here, but I don't think we do ourselves any favors either.
Okay.
It's just from my point of view, you'd never really see, there's not huge support from South Africans towards other South Africans. From what I've seen, like we don't, you know, you watch let's talk about the WSL and the Brazilian contingent, and you see after every heat, WSL posts something on Instagram, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of Brazilian fans commentating, why was the score this, why was it this, you were 0.5 out, like half a point out, and you've got
huge engagement from the community.
Yeah. People are talking about it. Maybe surfing is not a huge sport, or like, but I think it is. Like, there's a lot of talent. People deserve to support each other, and people deserve to get some exposure from it. So I think more of a camaraderie aspect, if we could focus on each other and boost each other, as opposed to like, you know, sharing every Italo Ferreira Instagram reel you can find.
True. Yeah, I have to agree. It's all about the community rallying behind. We can blame the semantics and the economics of the WSL and their focus on Brazil and their seeming attention that they pay, more so than like on Africa. But, you know, to turn that tide, excuse the pun, one has to look to, as you say, local community members to rally around local South Africans and just want them to do well. And there seems to be that sort of, I don't know, there's a stigma around South Africans not necessarily wanting to see others do as well. And it's a barrier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost keeping the playing field like this. Don't want anyone to stick out of the norm.
Yeah. And when somebody does become quite successful, we've seen a bit, not like, I don't know, there's a thing called tall poppy syndrome. Have you heard about it?
No, explain it to me.
It's from medieval times where, you know, the metaphor is poppies growing at a certain rate, and then a certain flower would grow taller than the rest, and they would cut it down to size. And there's this expression used within, like, whether it's athletes or communities, where you have certain ones becoming really successful, and they kind of like their peers or their fellow competitors, or they kind of like
cut them down to size
by criticizing, by lack of support, and it's something that needs to be addressed, I think, in South Africa. We need to get more involved and be more and less passive. You know, the Brazilians, like you say, they're commentating, they're getting involved. So how do we positively do that without sounding too negative?
Like what I just said now, I think while you were talking, I was about the tall poppy syndrome. I was kind of running it over in my head. I was like, that sounds pretty cynical. the way I said it, which is not like that's a broader picture. I don't think that that's everybody. I know for a fact that it's not everybody, because throughout my life and my surfing career, I've had incredible help from the community and support from the community. So it was quite an out there thing to say, but I think if we want to grow the sport of surfing in South Africa, you need to focus on each other, boosting each other, and let the poppies grow.
Yeah, for sure.
So going back to your question, I don't know, how do you get people to be genuinely happy for others? Like, because I think when people are happy, then they create for one another. It almost creates a little bit of a buzz and excitement around that. So how do you get people to feel stoked that you're a tall poppy?
Yeah, it's how long is a piece of string kind of thing for us. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, we can go into things like, you know, is it in our culture as South Africans to a degree, you know? I've said this before to certain people. It's like you know, when we drop a ball, we say, I'm sorry, or like, do we lack a competitive edge in the water? Sometimes, you know, the Brazilians seem so hungry, the Australians, and when it comes to competitive surfing, it's almost like a business. It's like business to them. It's not like I'm taking this wave because I know I need to score X amount of points, and it becomes more of a business. Whereas I wonder if us as South Africans are too like soft in that regard.
I don't know. It's kind of, there's very few South Africans where they're being funded to, you know, live the surfing dream. Well, there's not many that I know of. So I think everyone else who's doing it probably should have the mindset that it is a business. Because either they're working really hard to fund that dream and they've got some income coming in from other places, or they've got huge community support behind them, or really wealthy parents. So, you know, it should be treated as a business. So it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. To stay on the tour, you've got to, you know, the numbers, if you look at them, it's not cheap to travel, and especially to a far-flung destination like, you know, what's the one?
Even leaving South Africa.
Yeah.
Just pretty much wherever you travel to, you either go through Dubai or Doha on your way. I went to Morocco last year, and crazy, on the African continent, like I flew from Cape Town to Dubai and then back onto Africa to Morocco. Like, there's no one straight flight.
Yeah, I checked Morocco flights like a couple of days ago, and it was like crazy. I mean, as you say, you've got to fly to Dubai or Doha and then back to Africa. Look, I mean, I don't know if you wanted to, like, while we're on the subject, but I suppose it's part and parcel of like, I guess, how do you fund yourself? What do you do? Like, what do you do for a living? How do you exist and keep surfing?
Keep surfing. I really cherish the weekends. Thankfully, I've had crazy support from my parents in the past. So I've gone through university, did the whole uni stint, did a postgrad as well. And along the way, I've been working from everything, from bartending to running my own little business with a couple friends.
Okay.
So I've done a lot. Had income coming in from a couple different slices. And right now, I'm actually involved in a project with a friend of mine. We're taking a home composting system. It's called the Aerobin.
Okay.
It's a system developed in Australia, and we're taking it to market here in South Africa.
Congratulations.
So that's like the focus for the next
little Aerobin.
bit. The Aerobin.
Look out for the Aerobin.
Yeah.
This is now the product punt. That's only fair that we talk about the project. Well, it is only fair because it's these sorts of things that will help, you know, keep you going and help fund your surfing life and your dream, and and it's going to be a cool product because it has to do with home composting,
Yeah.
and
I think it's a pretty rad time to be jumping on it right now.
so does it take waste?
Yeah.
Put your waste and in 24 hours you've got compost.
Yeah, I wish it was that quick.
Okay.
No, you're looking at about a 6 to 12 week turnaround time.
Okay.
So it depends what you're putting in there. Some things degrade a lot faster.
Yes.
But composting it also depends how you set it up.
Okay.
Because composting uses alternating layers of green and brown matter.
Yes.
Your green matter is all your kitchen organic waste that you would have,
Okay.
essentially living things. And then your brown matter can be things like sawdust or branches out in the trees.
Gotcha.
Sorry, that have died and fallen on the floor.
Okay.
So it's like you've got to find a good balance.
Gotcha.
They feed into each other, break it all down into nice, healthy soil. So we
Wow.
can, grow some produce with that.
That's cool. So you're very much into like green living.
Trying. Haven't always been.
Okay.
Definitely haven't. But always had a bit of an appreciation for plants. My mom's pretty good with plants. She's always had a lot of indoor plants. Nothing crazy, like no insane garden or anything, but she kind of got me onto that train. And now, just gotten quite excited about it.
Cool, man.
So I can't afford to grocery shop every week anymore.
So, no, things are getting crazy expensive. Eh? So you got your own little veggie patch.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
It's underway right now. It's just such a rad. I just moved to Rondebosch, so I'm in the southern suburbs now. I moved there in February, and my landlords have a killer. They've got an art studio outside, a nice garden, and right next to the art studio, they've set up a whole veggie patch.
That's cool.
And they said we can have at it. Like, there's nothing growing there right now, but the next little bit we're going to get fully stuck into it.
Nice.
Just been waiting for the weather to warm up a bit, but it's been freezing.
Yeah, proper Cape winter.
Yeah.
As it was like a couple of decades ago. I think the Cape for the last decade has been going through a bit of a warmer winter spell, but it's definitely been in the past. People have gone like the Cape winters are the worst. Remember that?
I don't know. I'm from Durban. This is cold.
Yeah, but don't you remember like when you were later growing up, like your parents saying to you the worst winters in South Africa are in Cape Town. You know, Cape Town's this wet place in winter. But it hasn't been, other than this winter, it's kind of been like the last decade for me, it's been like a warmish winter in the Cape. Okay. This has been like old school Cape winter, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything.
Is this your first winter in the Cape?
No, this is my third one.
Okay, cool.
Third.
And you think they're all equally as cold?
This has been a particularly long one.
There we go.
Yeah. But I mean, growing up in Durban, that's the best time of year to be in Durban. It's like,
winter.
Yeah, from I'd say May to September. It's the best time.
It's the best. And no clouds, not too cold. Can get away with a spring suit sometimes.
Yeah. Board shorts.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, I blame Nigel at 9 Miles for that. If you smell some garlic, I do apologize. So, any life-changing moments that you can help spice this interview up with? Like where you dropped on your head as a kid or something?
Probably a couple of times.
Someone's phoning me.
Jeez, life-changing moments, bro. You got me on the spot here.
Like, I don't know, it might not even be about yourself. It might be someone in your family that, I don't know, just...
Yeah, I'd say probably the most recent one for me was in 2021, one of my childhood friends passed away in an unfortunate accident. And we'd kind of grown apart from each other, but that really hit home to me. It was still a tough thing to process and to deal with. But you know, that from that, trying to see the good in it, like, he was such an amazing person. He was always stoked about whatever we were doing. There was never he was like kind of the uplifter in the friendship group.
Okay.
And so after his passing, I think it really shifted my mindset to look for the good.
Okay.
So, however tragic it is, it's a weird one, trying to find good in tough situations. But I would say that's probably my most recent life-changing moment.
Okay. What do you mean by that? Like, in terms of just trying to be more positive about any given situation that you might have in the past been a little bit nego about? Is that what you're suggesting? Or just your approach, general approach to things? To err more on the positive side and be grateful for everything. Is that what you're saying?
I think being grateful, like having a bigger sense of gratitude, but I don't think it's necessarily all about being positive. Like, I think pushing too much positivity also, eventually you come down off the roller coaster. So a sense of gratitude, and just, I was going through the motions where I would go get a coffee and then go surf, and it was like kind of I was doing these things that I enjoyed doing, but I was just doing them because I could. Whereas now, if I get a good coffee, I'm like, I'll go chat to the barista. I'm like, this is a fire coffee, thank you. Like,
okay,
so stoked on that. Like, have a good surf, or even get to go surfing. Like, as soon as my feet touch the water, it's like, dang, this is pretty special.
And you're drawing from the persona of your friend who used to be that way, who used to be super stoked and frothed on life and positive, and you're drawing on that.
Yeah.
And showing appreciation for him, and sort of living it out through how you view life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So, Morocco, how was Morocco?
Jeez, it was really good. Speaking about Morocco, really tragic I don't know if you heard what happened about a week ago. They had a crazy earthquake. I think it was a 6-point something magnitude.
I heard about the earthquake, yes.
Huge earthquake. So they've right now gone through a pretty devastating time. A lot of lives were lost. So I don't know if we can chuck something up on here. Like, they've been doing a crowdfunder, trying to get some support for people in need. So I can get a link for that. And
please do. We'll put the link,
stick that on
right down here for the people of Morocco that suffered. A great amount of loss.
Yeah,
there were quite a few lives lost.
Yeah, a lot of lives lost, homes, whole cities and towns. So people's lives have really changed after
impacted,
that. Yeah, massively. So if anyone could help out, that would be really epic.
No, that'll be good.
Because to go back to your question about how was Morocco, it was the most unbelievable experience I've ever had. I didn't really know what to expect, and I actually went with my younger sister, who was 17 at the time. And it was, you're in for a bit of a culture shock. But nothing could have prepared either one of us for what we actually experienced. Went over there to see a friend that I'd met in Cape Town over the duct tape.
Yes. Yeah.
Went to go visit him, and he showed us the most unbelievable time, most incredible hospitality, just friendly, welcoming, really felt a part of something bigger. It wasn't like we were just on a surf trip, trying to score waves all the time. We were getting invited into people's homes, eating with them, people taking us on surf trips, taking us into markets here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like part of their family, basically.
Totally. I experienced an incredibly warm culture there, and I would honestly do anything to go back. For me, that was the best surf trip I've ever had. Or the best trip I've ever actually had. And I've been fortunate enough to do a fair amount of traveling over my years. So,
well, we watched that short film that you made about your journey there, and it looked absolutely sublime. Like the waves, just And then you throw in, as you say, this beautiful warmth that the people of Morocco bring. And were any of the people that you know affected by the earthquakes?
No one that I know.
Okay.
I checked in with a couple friends, and it seems like everyone's all good.
Okay.
But they do all have friends and family
That
who
have
have
been impacted.
been impacted. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
Again, we'll leave the link, and if you can, just a small contribution, just skip a coffee, make a little contribution.
Yeah, that would be rad.
Mm.
That would be super rad.
Cool.
But yeah, so sorry,
No.
just still talking about Morocco. My sister and I we were steering clear of the cities. Like we landed in Marrakesh.
Mm-hmm.
We spent one night in a hotel there, and we jumped straight on a bus and we just hit it on the coast. So over our time there, we weren't in any of the cities doing really the touristy stuff.
Yes.
Which is what I think probably shifted how our trip went, as well as having a good friend over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like, we looked on TripAdvisor, 15 best things to do in Morocco.
No. Yeah.
Which I think people often jump on that, like, I went to this place and Google reviews said it was epic, I should go there, and I had a cuck time, bro. Oh, sorry, I had a tough time.
That's cool. I've had some Australians on recently, so you can say cuck.
Cool.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, you don't strike me as that sort of a traveler anyway. You're not the dude who's going to go to, like, a place and just tick off, the generic traveler vibes. And I mean, the duct tape, that was just such a cool event, right? And to be invited to be a part of that, like, what was your experience? I mean, I covered some of it myself and got to meet a lot of the international riders that came out here, and it was just 2 weeks of good times, good parties, and great surfing,
Yeah, that it was. Huge, just such a privilege to be invited to that. Really, really stoked. It was, as you said, 2 weeks of crazy amounts of fun.
Yeah, to put it mildly.
No, yeah, they really know how to put on a good show, as well as kind of bringing together a community of people who are trying to do the same thing, surf and have fun.
Yeah,
which is pretty rad. You don't often get that, and it's people from all parts of the world as well, which is very cool.
Joel Tudor, like, he's an interesting cat.
Yeah, he is interesting. I'd met Joel. I've met Joel a couple times on the road before the duct tape, and the first time I met him was actually in Australia. We were in Noosa, and I think it was in 2019 or 2020, right before COVID started. Because there was an event, a longboard event in Noosa, and I was with my buddy Kevin Scavana, and we were at a bar trying to get a drink, and Joel was there, and Kevin's like, "Yo, Joel, this is Sam." Like, I was pretty starstruck. Like, we got to get him in a duct tape one day, and I'd just been bombed out in the contest. I was like, "Dude, you're blowing this for me." I got knocked out first round. No ways he's gonna put me in one of these things. And then Joel looked at me and just said, like, "Kid, maybe one day, maybe your time will come." And then it came, which was rad.
Cool, huh?
So it was pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole duct tape event and the idea around it is really cool. When you compare it to some of the other competitions out there.
It's the most non-competitive competition, if you can say that.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's money for doing all sorts of things, sharing waves, the paddle battle. Yeah, it's very cool. They really make it. The nice spin on the duct tape is they make it really worthwhile for the surfers. I mean, I surfed one heat and I got knocked in that one heat, but I won $250 for sharing a wave with two other guys in the heat. So we each got $250.
How cool is that?
Which is more money than I've made in any South African contest.
Oh, my word. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Jeez, bro.
Which is, I mean, it was fun. Like, it's such a rad thing to do. Kind of takes the edge off of competition because now people are looking to share waves with each other because they can make some bucks out of it. It's really rad.
I thought it was quite funny was the morning the competition started, we were all sitting up. I was like up in the media area upstairs, and then all of a sudden the music stops. And it's like Joel grabs the mic and he's like, can you please change the music?
Yeah.
No electronic music at surf competitions. And he's like, put some reggae or put some, you know, R&B or down tempo or something, you know, but like, and he just like took the electro and and like, no electro, please.
No.
That made me laugh. Yeah, he's got a...
Especially the early mornings. Yeah. Well, my experience of those early mornings were usually met with quite a sore head in the morning. So definitely no electronic music.
Yeah, I'm big up to Vans, just in general, and Warren and his team. I think they pulled off a mammoth event in a short space of time, and it was well supported.
Yeah, and so, people still talk about it. Like, people talk about it all the time. So it's
made a big impact on the local surf community.
Yeah.
And it was nice that, you know, you had like Angelica Rosland involved, and obviously Stevie Sawyer, he's right in there with the Zodiac, you know, when it comes to...
Yeah, I know, he's all over it.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, the huge positive that came after that, after the duct tape, is, I don't know if you've been to Muizenberg recently, but if next time you have a gap, like go, if you know the waves are good, go watch at Muizenberg spend half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour and just watch. And you'll see the level of the average, or the aggregate level, I should say, has radically improved. There's a lot more people longboarding.
Yeah.
And the level of the longboarding has gone through the roof. And I think that was probably a really inspiring event for people to see.
Yeah.
See how something can be run, and also to see what options are in front of them.
And how you can push the boundaries, and how much, you know, more you can do on a longboard.
Yeah.
And we needed somebody to come and actually just like raise that bar. You know, and I think that's what they did.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I've been getting out-surfed at Muizenberg every time I go there the last year and a bit.
Yeah, and the telltale sign is like, you just look over and you're like, if the oak's not wearing a leash, then you know he's taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Leash sales dropped.
I just don't, the leash thing in Muizenberg.
Yes, you want to talk about this?
I don't know, it's pretty contestable. Like, I don't ride with a leash at Muizenberg, but I also don't sit in the thick of the crowd. You'll usually find me at quite a distance away from everybody. I don't surf in the corner that much. And if I do, then I'll stick a leash on. Because, damn, the last thing you want to do is hurt somebody.
And those boards are heavy and they're big, and you lose control. You lose control of a longboard like that, and ends up clubbing someone on the head is the last thing you want.
I actually had a conversation. It was a bit of a confrontation with a guy on a foil. We kind of sorted it out, but the foils are cool. I mean, I've tried it. I can't do it. Damn, it's a lot harder than it looks. It looks pretty
I've tried
easy.
It behind a boat, you know, and it is, as you say.
Yeah.
It's quite an art.
Yeah. So hats off to the guys who can do it, but, you know, not about people riding their foils through the lineup. Don't come. And there's a crew of them at Muizenberg that are, they're foiling really nice. They're foiling well, but, you know, don't come racing through the lineup, because there's only one guy that I've ever seen who doesn't fall, who's got probably like a 99.99% strike rate, and that's Dylan Wickman. But besides for Dylan, you know, it's ridiculously dangerous to be coming through.
Yeah, you've got to take other ocean goes into consideration when you're riding something like a foil, you know. It's just
so that was what I said. I tried to have a chat with the guy.
Okay.
With one of the dudes, because he came zinging past me, went over a wave and fell, and he didn't have a leash on the foil board, but he's wearing a helmet. And I was like, dude, I'm stoked you're wearing a helmet. Like, look at me and everyone else out here without a helmet.
Yeah.
That is probably going to really injure us. And it's like, dude, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Like, you're riding your longboard without a leash. It's like, yeah, I guess so. But, you know, a longboard without a leash is like pulling a tractor with no wheels through the mud versus jumping in a sports car.
Yes, and having like these blades
that
are flying through the water like knives.
Yeah. So, I get it. It kind of took the wind out of my sail when he said that. I was like, oh, yeah, you know, you do have a bit of a point. But then it's just, So that pushed me away from the crowds quite a bit as well. Because I was like, if I'm going to surf without a leash, keep people safe.
Yeah, it's an interesting hot topic, and I think that, I mean, it's not one that's going to go away very quickly, because if anything, can I just check my time on you?
Yeah.
I've got 2 minutes on there that I'm going to have to just take the footage off onto my laptop, and then, because I've got so much on that card.
Cool.
Can I do that quickly?
Yeah, easy. No worries.
I just want to give a massive thanks and shout out to the Shack here in Llandudno for allowing and hosting us for this little discussion that we're having here with Sam. It's a beautiful, quaint little cottage built just after the turn of the century that refuses to compromise its integrity. We sit in Llandudno with houses around us that are like opulent to the max. And then you've got a little cottage like this that just takes you back in time, proper beach shack. So here's the link below. If you want somewhere really cool to stay, this is the place.
Yeah, I didn't actually find it for 10 minutes because I was just walking right past it. So like, there's no way. It's like,
yeah. This is like totally your vibe, right?
Big time.
Yeah, right on the beach. You can hear the waves. Check it out. So, like we've talked about a few sensitive subjects, which is always like going to be met with some sort of an opinion by others or contention. But let's lean towards the positive. Let's talk about the positive changes that you can see happening within the South African surfing community. Like, tell me, give me something positive that's happening, that's changing.
Last year in 2002, Anne Wright was.
Are we on there? I'm just gonna put like that. There we go. You're on.
Sweet, we're back.
We're
Last year in 2022, Anne Wright was appointed as the Vice President of Surfing South Africa, and Christy Gilmore was appointed as the first chairwoman of longboarding in South Africa. Anne Wright's also the first female in her position, traditionally being quite a male-dominated sport, surfing. And I mean, I'm not involved in too many other competitions other than the longboarding champs, and I'd say the KZN trials, which is where I've been able to develop a good relationship with both Anne and Christy. Grown up with Christy, she's been one of my best friends for a while. And after the longboard champs we just had now, I just got back from J-Bay, and I honestly think it was probably one of the best that's been put on. There was a lot of skepticism last year before the appointments or while the appointments of these positions were going down. But just from my personal opinion, after the week that we had up there, the way the contest ran, the way challenges and difficulties were met and amended throughout the week, it was just a continuous rolling cycle. It was never, I don't feel that anyone was ever like, what's going on? Okay. Which is quite a common thing at a contest.
Yes. This one just ran smoothly.
Super, super smoothly. I was phenomenally impressed. So, hats off to Anne Wright and Christy Gilmore. I think both of them are having a hugely positive impact in surfing in South Africa. Yeah.
That's great. That's good to hear. And long may it continue and continue to involve people like Christy and Anne that create better contests. And as you said, there wasn't a confusion or a tiz. It was just ran smoothly.
Which was really rad. And probably the thing that stood out to me the most over that week was, so between last year's SA Champs and this year's SA Champs, Christy had been pushing really hard to get a new division put into the Longboard Champs. And she was advocating for an under 14 girls division, which has never been done before.
Wow.
It's always, there's an under 14 boys, and it's under 14, under 16, under 18, and then you go up your divisions. But the girls has always started under 16, under 18 opens. And Christy pushed really hard to get under 14 girls included. And damn, I'm glad I'm not a girl to be coming up against these ladies in the next 5 or 10 years. The level of surfing has been raised phenomenally. It was unbelievable to watch these young ladies tackling it.
So the future's bright.
Yeah, I think it's shining.
Fantastic. There we go. Now we just need to get a few brands to rally around these young and up and coming competitors and get behind them and show some support monetarily.
Yeah.
And
but also nurture.
Yeah.
Don't just throw money at them, because I've seen that happen to a couple different people in my life who've landed good gigs, and money gets thrown at them, and easy come, easy go. So support them by all means, but keep the nurturing aspect there.
Okay.
That's just my take on it.
How would you do that? Define nurturing.
I think getting into your contract, maybe instead of being paid a salary, like, I don't know how it would work with kids. I mean, I never got offered any money being a youngster, but they probably have to go through the parents.
Mm-hmm.
But just ensuring that these kids don't have crazy money, that they're on top of the world. There must still be some sort of, I feel, some work that goes into why you're getting this money, why you're able to travel. So a little bit of a push and pull, and if
some mentoring.
Yeah, and as soon as the ego gets big and the head grows, which it does. I mean, it happens to everyone. Happened to me. It's like that's part of growing up. Just crack the whips a little bit, bring them back down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut them down to size. Just bring them back down to earth.
Careful now, it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line, and that's pretty funny watching kids sport, because it seems like most dads just want to brag to each other about my kid's doing this, my kid's doing that, and then it's like you see them on the side and they're like, Johnny, I pass the fucking ball, like blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. They're living their life vicariously through their children.
Living through the lighties. So maybe let the parents take a step back.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I don't have kids, so I don't know what the first thing about dealing with them. I just got a cat a couple months ago, so slow progress, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One little furry friend.
Yeah.
Before we carry on, for me, sponsorship, thank you. I'm going to say thank you to my sponsors for being able to make this happen as well, which are Arnold Plastic. I have to get the bottle. I have to say thank you. Sorry.
No,
it's part of.
No, it's cool.
I'm going to say thank you to Arnold Plastic. Check him out. Links below. I'm going to say massive thanks to Numuti, which is a very rad drink made from Skeleton.
Oh, rad.
Yep. Numuti. Check that out. And I'll have to give you one if I can find one.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then Ocean Freedom, Roxy Davis and her team. Thank you very much for supporting. And last but not least,
Good Sheet, which
Good
is toilet paper that is completely harmless to the environment.
Right.
Made from a byproduct of sugarcane.
Okay.
And it's called Good Sheet. I'm going to have to get you a little hamper with all these goodies so that you can experience them yourself.
That'll be right.
But I've kind of teamed up with a bunch of sponsors that have got the ethos of, let's do more than just like recycle. Let's create cool stuff. And the amount of, I've never really thought about this, and you probably haven't, but the chemicals that are actually go into the makeup of toilet paper.
Yeah.
That get flushed down and end up, there's bad chemicals in there.
Yeah.
Bleach that you clean your toilet with. There's microplastics and metals and all sorts of things. So, big up to all those brands that are doing their best to try and help make a positive change in the environment.
Yeah. It's pretty cool how the knock-on of that happens. Like, Good Sheet does something, and then maybe they inspire Domestos to change their, like you said, the toilet cleaner.
There we go.
And just slowly the dominoes start falling over.
And they need to fall over rapidly at this point.
Yeah.
But we can get onto that. That's a whole new subject, I think. Global warming. We won't go there today, Sam. We'll just stick to starting with our own little small communities. Oh, that's awesome. Positive news. Big ups to Christy Gilmore and her team. Big ups to Anne Wright. That's Wok's mother. She's part of the surfing community and has been a stalwart in promoting, just getting behind Grom's up and coming surfers and being that matriarchal figure that people like Sharon Krakar and Tash Mentasti, with her recent appointment as regional director for the WSL.
Epic.
Which is, again,
awesome,
amazing.
Good one, Tash.
Yeah. And they all just share a froth for surfing. And long may these women continue to help guide us, because sometimes us men, we need a little bit of guidance from the women in our lives,
But I think most of the time.
Yeah. I always think of like ballroom dancing, and whilst you have a man that leads, the woman, what would be a man leading the dance if the woman wasn't there to be a part of the dance?
Yeah.
And she plays an integral role in making that dance even more beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we have to pay respect and homage and utmost thanks to, as I say, these amazing women.
Yeah, and all your dudes came from women, so respect the women.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah. All right, I think I've earned enough brownie points with the woman.
Yeah.
So
me too.
Yeah, we have to cover ourselves there.
Yeah. No.
And to all those who identify as that, let's not go there either. I'll cut that out.
Sheesh.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's an interesting times, put it that way. And we'll talk about wokeness at a different point as well. Let's not go there today.
I've had a couple of topics we could have just gone deep down the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
But I'm glad we've just sniffed and chased another hole.
Well,
Good Sheet.
Yes, good sheet. That's a good sheet. Do you remember that? Do you remember the 2 JBA champs ago when Raphael nearly drowned?
Yeah, I do.
Remember that?
Yo, crazy.
Well, the crazy thing was, it's like I spotted him. I don't want to say this, but like I ran up that beach and Craig Cuff was like, he like looked at me and him and I, like, we ran up the beach, and he's way more athletic than me, so he had his keys in his pocket, and he's like, Steve, and he like threw them to me on the rocks. Craig was in the water. So I'm throwing some drama in.
I know, you got it, bro.
We'll lead with this.
Yeah.
It's the hook. Yeah. And Raphael was under the water drowning, and thankfully he's okay now. And the reason I bring that up is because that's the year we kind of first chatted as well, on the couch on the beach.
That was the raddest thing.
And
I think
now
bring the
there's
couch back.
Now there's a couch surfing show. Do you know about it?
No.
It's called the Couch Surfing Show. The WSL even let them do some stuff with them in California.
No way.
Yeah, but it's called the Couch Surfing Show.
But you lit the cracker under that one.
So I'll take it as a compliment. And but please get a couch, because they've got this like fold up thing. It's not actually a couch. Whereas I hold an actual couch down to the beach.
Let's see if we can get a screenshot of that.
I've got it.
There, got that. That was Mal. That was the mask days.
Yes, that's it. We sat there with a mask. Right. That was funny. They were like, do not broadcast anything like without a mask on.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, Sam. So
stoked, bro.
Thanks ever so much for coming through, making time, chatting to me about your sort of what you're up to at the moment, your projects, the composter. What's it called again?
The error bin.
Error bin. Have you got a website?
We don't have a website yet.
So I can't even leave a link.
Not yet.
An Instagram page.
Not yet.
Have you got an error bin yet?
I do.
Okay, well, he's got an error bin. Yeah. So look out for, maybe by the time this goes live, there'll be something I can flash up on the screen. Yeah. Maybe a picture of the error bin.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, we'll flash a picture of you with your error bin up here. And that's his future. It's your future too, because it's a home composting system that we probably all need in our life. And thanks for coming through, Sam. Really appreciate it, and all the very best.
Stoked. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun. That was cool.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Stoked.
We're out.